Hi, welcome to another episode of Beyond Chronic Disease. I'm your host, Wendy, and I will be doing a little chat, enlightening little chat on the Fodmap diet. Fodmap stands for fermentable glycerides, disaccharides, monosaccharides, and polysaccharides, I believe. And what are they? They're simple sugars that are digested very quickly by the gut, which can create discomfort in your tummy. So, and everyone gets different symptoms, so we'll just leave it as discomfort in your stomach. So to eliminate that discomfort, you may be prescribed a Fodmap diet. I personally prefer the whole foods diet that I implemented in my life when I was diagnosed with Crohn's. And I've written a book about it. Here it is. Whole Foods, the Facts. I never know which way it goes on this computer. And my first point of call for my gut disorder was changing the way that I ate. I was initially told about gluten and went on a gluten-free diet, and that led me to eliminating a lot of breads and pastas and so forth from my diet, and sort of going more to the gluten-free, but eliminating them personally. And simple sugars are in all those things, people. So in white breads and pastas and things like that. So on the Fodmap diet, I just want to point out a couple of things that I looked at and thought that I would bring your awareness to them. I've got them all written down so that I don't forget them. I was just going to say, so I don't remember them. so don't forget them. These are the things that you're allowed to eat on a Fodmap diet. A Fodmap diet is like a traffic light system. So they have green, which is allowed, amber or orange color, which is limited, and then red, just don't go there, peeps. Okay. And, on this diet, there will be fruits and vegetables that you have to avoid. And I completely get that. Some fruits and vegetables can upset people, different varieties that you might find. I know I have a friend that can only eat in certain apples, so certain brand or whatever they're called, species, variety of apple. So even though it's still a whole food, so whole foods can upset you, but so I don't discount that fact at all. In actual fact, Sue Dengate, who wrote the book Fed Up, runs a whole program in hospitals and everything for children, especially eliminating certain fruits and vegetables from the diet because they contain substances that can upset you. And that's been running for many, many years, that program. So if you want to start somewhere, get the book by Sue Dengate. It's called Fed Up, and I think she wrote it in the late 80s, 90s. So it's been around for a very long time, and it's something that I went to for certain aspects of diet with my children. So that's a big plug for Sue, that book. So what I'm basically saying is that, yes, fruits and vegetables can still upset you if you're highly susceptible to certain chemicals in those natural chemicals in those foods. But I wanted to bring your awareness to some of the items on the Fodmap diet, which I don't really understand, other than the fact that you're eliminating the simple sugar side of things, but still having processed foods that have got processed chemicals in them that I believe can create discomfort in your body in general, And so how are you going to distinguish between the discomfort from something that you've been told you can eat on the Fodmap diet to actually the Fodmap diet working for you? So these are just a couple of go-to points for me. Spirulina, for one, it may or may not upset you. I think it's crap. That's my take on it. I think it's just a highly, it's one of those fads, and I just dropped all my paperwork. It's one of those fads that a trend, I guess you could call it. And it can be like anything can be good for you in some way, shape or form. But with spirulina, if it's not grown properly, or I guess if it's not grown properly, it can harbor bacteria and toxins that won't be good for you at all, can make you quite sick. What is spirulina? Spirulina is a blue-green algae, and we can't swim in it. I know there's certain things that we can't have around us in certain forms, but we can still digest them once they've been processed. Well, that's how I see spirulina. And I don't know, I think it's a little bit expensive, and personally, I don't like it. I mean, if you like it and think it's doing wonders for you, by all means, but the fact that it was on the Fodmap diet was quite enlightening for me. So what else? I've just dropped all my paperwork, so I can't so I can't remember everything. So diet drinks, oh my gosh, diet drinks are full of processed or artificial, processed is the same, artificial sugars. I wouldn't even drink diet sodas if you paid me. So you can have them on the Fodmap diet though. So have you ever had I don't know, sugar-free lollies or sugar-free gum or something, and you just eat so much of it, and then next minute you're on the toilet? Because it has a laxative effect on our bodies, depending on which one it is, because there's so many of them. And that's actually, it says on the packet that it can have a laxative effect. So I don't think I'd want to go there, especially if you're on the Fodmap diet, purely for that reason. So if that's a very good point, if you're on the diet for the reason that everything's going through you, and then you're told to go on a diet that can still create that by, if you're drinking lots of diet sodas that may contain the artificial sweetener that may have the laxative effect, well, will you know what's working for you and what's not? So anyway, so that in the diet sodas, they've got artificial sweeteners, and artificial sweeteners can have many side effects on you. They can give you headaches as well. So, I mean, everyone is very different and everything impacts us differently, but these are just a few things that I wanted to point out just to make you aware if the Fodmap diet's not working for you, which it may be, and that's great. And if it's not, well, then that's why. So almond milk is on the Fodmap diet, and I completely get that. It's just that it's really paramount to read the ingredients here, people, when you're buying your almond milk. There's one almond milk that I had a look at, has only got like 2%, 2.5% of almonds actually in it. And when you're looking at the ingredients list, the first, depends on what, it doesn't particularly say the percentages of everything all the time. So when you are looking at ingredients list, the very first ingredient you read will be the bulk of that ingredient. So on a particular almond milk, filtered water, and it's probably, I think it's probably on more most of them, filtered water is the first ingredient. So largely that almond milk will contain filtered water, and this particular one I was looking at, it's got cane sugar. That's the next ingredient. So filtered water and cane sugar, and then the almonds. This was only on one particular one that I was looking at. Many of them have cane sugar in them. So I don't know how that relates to, excuse me, how that relates to the Fodmap diet, taking, I thought you'd be taking simple sugars out, or whether you have to make your own almond milk, which I actually advise you to do because it's absolutely beautiful and it's very, very simple to make. Is it time consuming? Well, not really. If you need to soak the almonds, just whack them on the bench before you go to bed at night in some water. Simple. They blow up, they'll bloat, and the next day, if you've got to go to work, whack them in the fridge, and then when you get home, just blend them up that night and then put them in a muslin cloth and you squeeze them out. That is the time-consuming part. But if you're serious about your health and you're on a Fodmap diet and you actually want to have almond milk, that is the best type of milk to have. It's absolutely beautiful. Anyway, so that's almond milk. So it's all about looking at ingredients, because some almond milks will have better and more better ingredients list, and they will contain more almonds than others, which I think would be far better for your gut than not. Another interesting one I thought was margarine. Now, they do have butter on the Fodmap diet. If I was on a Fodmap diet, I would be eating butter and not margarine, and I'll tell you why. Butter is made cream, water, and salt. That's what the ingredients are in butter. And if it contains other things, we'll steer clear of it. But butter is cream, water, and salt. Margarine, on the other hand, and again, it depends on which one you buy, because there's so many on the market, and this is why it's really important to read the ingredients list. Margarine typically contains hydrogenated oils. Now, what are hydrogenated oils? All these big words. They're not simple. Hydrogenated oils are oils that they've added an extra hydrogen or added hydrogen to, so that they can enable the oils to solidify. So if margarine didn't have hydrogenated oil in it, it wouldn't be solid and you'd be drinking it rather than spreading it. Butter is solid at room temperature, because when you cream the cream, it goes solid. I mean, have you ever over whipped cream? Yep. You don't need to add anything to cream for it to be solid, to be honest. You don't have to add salt. There's unsalted butter. So, and it, it is high in saturated fat, I guess, but it, for me, to having the whole food aspect to this, it's a more whole food than margarine. And the hydrogenated oils are the ones that, well, they're called trans fatty acids. And so trans fats, we've all been told to steer clear of them. If you haven't heard of that before, well, steer clear of them. And the reason being, they increase our bad cholesterol and they decrease our good cholesterol. So cholesterol is found in our blood, and if it gets too fatty, our cholesterol, then it starts blocking up our arteries. Basically, that's the simple fact. I don't go into the science of everything so much, because science changes every 5 minutes, I think, and it just depends on who has the scientific report, who's done it, and so forth. So margarine's on the Fodmap diet, which I think is just outrageous, to be honest. Vegemite is another product that's on the Fodmap diet, and it's whether it naturally contains the MSG or not, it's got yeast extract in it. Yeast can naturally contain MSG, but if it's processed, well, then it's a processed version of it, which I don't like processed stuff. That bottom line, it's not natural. So MSG, if you're unaware, because it just says yeast extract, so it could be a natural form of MSG or it could be a processed form. It won't say it, but typically anything that contains yeast extract is MSG. And if you've got an intolerance to MSG and it causes you a gut ache like it did with me, extreme cramping when I was eating MSG and I was unaware of what was going on, again won't help you to know whether it's the Fodmap diet that's not working or whether it's something that you're eating on the Fodmap diet that contains something that you're intolerant to. So I just wanted to bring the awareness to you about these products, because the ingredients are very, very important to read, for you to read before you pick up any of these, before you put them in your trolley. So if you've been prescribed, I guess, suggested a Fodmap diet for your stomach complaint, just look at what's on there, and maybe you can, swap it for something else, or get the highest quality that you can possibly get. So for me, if I was on the Fodmap diet, I wouldn't go anywhere near diet drinks. I would just drink water. You can have coffee on the Fodmap diet. So coffee and almond milk don't agree with me. So I'd go for black coffee. I would, make things as natural as possible, because the more natural you make it, the better it will be in the long run for you. So you may be on a Fodmap diet, you may be on it for years and years and years, it might agree with you, and then one day something may happen and you're unaware that some of the things that you may have been eating have got hidden processed additives and chemicals and so forth that have created disease in your body. So just to bring that awareness to you about a few things in the Fodmap diet. I'm not a big fan of having dairy products, animal products in general, and lactose free. And I know that, a lot of people are having lactose free. I went to get a coffee one day, and that was probably the best choice available for me at the time, the lactose free. I couldn't drink the coffee. I couldn't believe how sweet it was. So if they're adding sweetness to it to make it taste better, it's not in its natural state. If you can tolerate full cream cow's milk, then that would be my preferred choice, or homemade almond milk if you're dairy free. So, I'm all for things in their real natural whole food state. So what else is on the Fodmap diet that I could pull apart? There's other things there that you really need to look at. Corn is generally, most of our corn is genetically modified. And what does genetically modified mean? It means that it's grown so that it's grown not in its usual state, so that it can fend off pests and diseases, basically. So that they genetically modify it so that they don't have to use so many chemicals, and it doesn't get eaten by so many pests and doesn't get diseased. So that's why they genetically modify it, so they make it stronger. But what does that do to the human body that's not used to having that genetically modified grain. So that's another food for thought about the GMO products on the market, and that is why you will see GMO free on products. If you read the labels, there's a lot of GMO free products out there. So that is what it means, genetically modified. So I hope this has been an insight. I hope it hasn't confused you. Like, just wanted to bring awareness to some of the products on the Fodmap diet that may still be creating discomfort in your body and you're not aware of them. So I know even with the lentils, like the legumes, they call them, and that's beans, the different pulses and things. If you, buy them in their whole state and you soak them overnight and so forth, that can actually eliminate a lot of the digestive stuff, discomfort. I have done a show, or maybe a Facebook Live on legumes. Actually, it's a podcast, Why Beans Make You Fart. That could be one way to eliminate that as well. But if you're on a Fodmap diet, they're in the no-go zone, which is fair enough. They do create a lot of discomfort with people, and I just believe that that's in the processing side of it. So the Fodmap diet, great for you. Try and eliminate all the processed food on it though. And I hope that you're getting good results with whatever you're doing out there to eliminate the discomfort in your tummy. So until next time, I will see you, and hopefully you got something out of this.